single day. I'm gonna make something great. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. This game ain't nothing, this game ain't nothing. I'ma wait till the time, I love this money, just set it on fire, Don't mean nothing, it's one for the night. Don't waste my time.
Hey guys, Ron here with BBM Reptiles. Thank you again for taking the time for joining me in this channel. And if you're new, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and follow me along in this incredible journey of reptile keeping, specifically working with ball pythons. Guys, you might have noticed I lost weight. Nah, it's not that. I started growing a beard, and I figured, I mean, like, heck, you see Ryan and Ben from R&B, you see KB with their beard, Spartan with his beard, it's his monstrous beard and stuff. I figured, you know what, I'm gonna grow one. I want to grow one and you know, hang along with these guys, and if I ever get the chance to sit next to them, just compare beard length, you know, just bring it out, you know. But if it grows, if it grows. If it doesn't, you know, I mean, like, at least with this this distancing and isolation that they're doing, it'll give me time to actually let it grow out and see if something comes out from all that. But it's not about the beard, it's about the snakes. And I want to talk about ovulations. And specifically with ovulations, I have not been observant for obvious reasons, and there have been a few snakes that I've missed completely the ovulations. And I mean, like, it's not the last thing in the world or the most, you know, I would say erroneous thing that can happen. But if you're starting out, it's something that you would want to make sure that you capture, because it helps you keep a log of when you might expect the snake to actually drop her first clutch. Just to give you an idea, when you see a snake that actually has been off food for, I'd say, like a good 2 months, or even at least more than 4 weeks, and all of a sudden it swells up, and the only comparison I can actually give it is like if it actually swallowed a cat and it swelled up that big, that's an ovulation. And an ovulation at that point is basically when she actually releases the stored sperm from the males, and she fertilizes those eggs. And basically 15 or 17 days after you see that ovulation, that female ball python should start her shed. Now, an ovulation would typically last 24 hours or maybe a little bit more after that. But after that, she'll just go back to her regular girth. And you'll just basically see her just as normal as you might have seen her if you haven't missed that ovulation. Now, like I said, I like to actually always keep an eye when I can see an ovulation, because with that calendar, I can actually more or less know when to expect eggs. And the benefit of that is, obviously, you'll be prepared for it. Not saying that you won't be prepared for it, but you won't be caught off guard when you open up that drawer 3 days later and you find a clutch of eggs. Or having to open up that tub every single day, figuring out when she might drop that eggs. Now, there's two things that I personally like to do, and I've learned this during the time of breeding. If by chance I miss an ovulation, I will go at least by a shed. And if it's within that season or the end of the season, I get a final shed and the female hasn't been on food. I mean, like, if she hasn't been feeding for at least 2 months or a month, and all of a sudden she shed and I did not see an ovulation, then I'm going to jot down that shed date. And after that shed date, I'm going to go 30 days after. That's my due date that I would expect, just in case I miss an ovulation. That's why I say basically, and those basically is, I would say it's kind of like old school techniques, because obviously if you do have a sonogram, you can actually see the development, and when basically at a certain size of the the eggs, then you know you already have eggs on the way. But if you don't and you're actually starting out, well, like I said, the easiest way is actually seeing an ovulation. And the next step, if you miss that, is by her feeding pattern. And if she stopped feeding, you're going to go by that last shed that she's received. And say you missed a day, or you skipped a day that you forgot to open the tub, and you touch the shed and you notice that it's extremely dry. Usually when the female ball python sheds, it's still going to be real soft to the touch. And you know that that shed is recent within 12 hours. Now, if a shed is dry, and depending how dry it is, it could have been basically more than 24 to 36 hours. So even with that, you're going to basically put yourself within 28 to 32 days. And within those 4-day windows of those days that I just said at the final point, that's when unfortunately you're gonna have to be checking the tub every day. Now, ball pythons will typically lay eggs within the morning. So usually I'd say have a restful night's sleep. When you wake up the next day in the morning, I say around 7 o'clock in the morning usually is when she's starting, or she's midway going through it. That's when you want to open up that tub. You don't want to do it 5 or 6 in the morning, because believe it or not, that's the time that they actually start, pushing it out. And the other useful thing that can actually help you out is if you notice that your ball python, she wets the whole entire tub. And I mean basically, if you use, let's say, newspaper as substrate, or something drier than cocoa husk or aspen, and you notice that basically everything is wet, it's basically because that female, she's cooling herself down. And she's using this to help her actually, I would say, alleviate that issue of that growth of those follicles. Something that I've also noticed towards the end, just before she's about to drop her eggs, is that she becomes extremely restless. I mean, like literally, she will not stay still. She'll be basically running around the tub the whole day, and at night she'll be extremely restless. And you'll be seeing her lying on her side, or basically belly up. But mostly she'll be very, very, very active, more active than usually. And I would actually, I mean, like for those of you that have children and been within the final trimesters of your spouse's or your partner's pregnancy, they get uncomfortable. They get uncomfortable, and one of the things, at least my wife's gynecologist would say, walk it off, to actually position the child a little bit more, so that way it's closer to for her birth. Well, I kind of noticed that the same thing with the ball pythons. When they're in that final days just before they drop their eggs, they get very, very restless. I mean, like literally they go crazy through the tub. So that's something else that you might want to keep an eye on, to make sure, or just to start learning your ball python and catch your different things. In all this, basically, there will be an event in your life. I mean, like we don't have the luxury to be standing in front of the tub of our ball pythons 24/7, because if we do that, they'll never breed. I mean, like, it's like, hello, you're doing the obvious with your spouse. You don't want no one looking through the window seeing how it's working. So basically, we got to give them that privacy. And if we miss that ovulation, just go up for those key things like I talked about. If you're seeing that your ball python, she has not eaten within a month or close to 2 months, and she has shed, then you missed that ovulation. So basically, just go by that last shed, and then just give it a window within 28 to 32 days, and jot it down on your calendar. So those are the days that you're gonna basically check up on her, just in case she does drop those eggs. And worst case scenario, if you even miss that shed by a few days, and by surprise you do open the tub, and you see a clutch, and you're not too sure how long that clutch has been with that female, don't worry about it. But the important thing is, when you're going to place it on the egg box, you place it as is. Don't try to separate them, and don't try to candle to move them around, because if they've been with that female coiled up for more than a day, or I'd say like a few days, you're gonna have to place it as is. You don't want to change it because that little air bubble that forms on the egg, it's already settled on the top. So you want to make sure that you don't actually accidentally reverse the position of the eggs, and it could actually drown the embryo. But heck, like I said, making mistakes in ball pythons in the hobby is a valuable tool because these are things that help you for future season and make you a better breeder. Anyway, again, guys, thank you very much. And for those people that actually helped me make the transition of coming back to this video and doing this again, I want to thank you. Incidentally, I use Instagram to upload live contents. And the reason that I chose Instagram is I still have not reached that 1K viewer subscribers on YouTube. And what I wanted to do actually, because I had a lot of bottled up emotion that I needed to express, but I would break up. I would actually tremble, and just break down and cry. So I needed a hard practice run to do that. And I chose Instagram because I could do live and I was interacting with a lot of people. And you that have seen me on Instagram and those lives, you seen me break down, and that's something that I'm trying to actually try to control, because even with the worst situation, life does go on. I mean, like I came to the point that basically I didn't know anything else was going around my world except my own pain. And I needed to break out of that bubble. And I know for a fact my daughter didn't want that from me. And my son, God bless him, he sent me a message of a video that he saw on YouTube of a song that had such a beautiful lyrics that he messaged me and said, "Dad, listen to this song." And he specifically picked out a verse from that song that he would mention, that my daughter would mention, say that to me so many times, because he would see the letters. I would read it out to him when I would take her back to the airport. And a lot of times my daughter would say, "Dad, persevere day by day. I love you. You give me strength." And my son picked out that video and sent it to me and specified that specific lyrics. And he was saying, "This is Alanis talking to you. This is Alanis talking to you. And she's telling you to be strong and take it day by day." So I said, you know what? That gave me that push. That pushed me to Instagram. That pushed me to actually be more vocal and open up even more. And the lesson of all this is you have to continue. And that verse my son said was off, or he got off that song was, "I will be the best of me. Always keep you next to me. I'll be living one life for the two of us." So in other words, I decided that I will continue doing what I love, which is basically reaching out to people, talking about ball pythons, exploring, going out, reaching within my community, going to church, exploring different things with my children, living the life to the fullest, and not be trapped in that deep depression of a tragedy that happened, but take strength from it and be the best of me for my daughter, because I truly will live one life for the both of us. Again, guys, I'm sorry. That's, I didn't want to go too much with that, but thank you for taking the time for stopping by my channel. Again, if you're new, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Like I said, I am going to do the best of this. I'm going to try to be even more passionate with what I'm doing, and I want to transmit that passion because this is a great hobby. And there's a lot of work to be done with the ball pythons. There's a lot of genes to unlock, and I want to take you along with that. And I would love to see what you're working with also. As I mentioned, I am on Instagram, and I'm doing lives. I'm doing lives on Instagrams just until I can actually get that 1K mark, because I really want to interact. I want to have that interaction with people and talk about this, about ball pythons, about what projects you're working at, and what would you want out of this? What are the things that you would like to see? And even I have questions that I can actually post out and get a response at that moment. So what I'm doing now, taking advantage of what's going on with basically the lockdown that most people are going through, especially me here on Instagram, 8 p.m. every Saturdays I'm doing it. Every Saturdays I'm doing a live on Instagram. It's BBM_reptiles. Drop by and let's have a conversation. And if not, put your comments and just join me along this channel and let's grow together. Anyway, again, thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until the next time, I'll see you in the next video.